Hi, hello, and welcome to another episode from, of course,
China.
my name is Fernando, and this is
Ziv.
And today we are joined by Paul Benavides, also known as Walkabout Rojo on his YouTube channel. Paul is an American, and he's been teaching at a university in Zhongshan for 4.5 years, I think. So let's welcome him to the show. Paul, how are you?
Thank you very much for having me.
Good.
I'm
No,
very
it's a
excited
pleasure
to be
to
here.
have you here.
Yeah.
Hi, Paul.
Hello. Thank you, sir.
Well, Paul has his YouTube channel, and one of the things that he does over there is he does hotel reviews, which is something that we find very, very interesting, and we wanted to talk to him about that. So, why hotels?
I find them fascinating places. They're like little microcosms of the world, you know, and they're in every single city and place in the world, and they're all unique and different. You never have the same, well, sometimes you do, but if you do it right, you never have the same experience in each one.
But you're not just like a customer. You have experience in working at hotels, so you know what you're talking about.
That's right. One of my first jobs I had back in Los Angeles, LA area, Orange County, was valet parker, you know, and I love driving cars, and I fell in love with meeting people from all around the world, and it just snowballed from there. I worked my way up, and when I was in college, I did it. Even when I was in the service, I worked as a bartender at part time at a hotel.
While doing the service.
While in the service, while
Okay.
I wasn't overseas, you know. So,
All right.
yeah. But then I eventually worked my way up, got into management. I worked in every single department, and eventually became senior vice president of a large a property management company that had a hotel portfolio, but it was mostly apartments and apartment communities.
How old were you at this time?
I was 29.
29.
Yeah, I was very, very young senior vice president, and I had a corner office, and it was pretty awesome, you know, flying around private jet and things like that. So
For real?
Wow.
For real, yeah.
Nice.
It was really great.
Did you ever dream about working for hotels in hospitality business?
My dream was to be a GM. You know, ever since I was a little kid, you know, I really wanted to be a GM of a major hotel and invite people and important people and meet, you know.
Why?
I like people. You know, I'm some of my greatest experiences in life have been from working in hotels. The people that you meet, and not necessarily the famous people and the politicians and musicians and actors and stuff like that, but
Just happened a lot too.
oh yeah, I got
okay.
many stories. I worked in Hollywood for a couple
Right.
of years, and so it was a property that catered to that kind of clientele.
Celebrities and
Yeah, and I'm not bound by any kind of confidentiality agreement for that hotel, by the way.
all right then. So
Did you stay in hotels a lot when you were a kid?
No, I didn't. No, and so I always saw hotels as like a dream getaway. You know, I grew up in a suburban neighborhood, and you know, I pass by a hotel and there's a party going on, and people are looking fancy, and you know, the women are all dressed up, and you know, the men are so cool, and they're going in there eating fine restaurants,
Right.
and you know, I was just attracted to that energy that surrounded the hotel.
Kids love hotels.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think so.
Even after they've been to many, my kids, they still, hey, we got to hotel, yeah.
It's like camping in nicer conditions.
That's right.
Yes, or maybe they don't even know camping, so just
But,
directly.
Hotel work is known to be very, very difficult. Long hours. So what's your...
It's definitely demanding. Yeah, it's demanding on your time and your energy. But those who do it love it. I gave you guys the idea of, you know, you meet a chef. You know, I like cooking, but I don't love it. You know, but a chef loves to do it every day. And working in a kitchen is like hell. It's war in there, but people love it. And so to work in a hotel industry really attracts a certain type of personality.
You can have a passion for it.
Yeah, so
most definitely.
What makes you satisfied? Like, you know, we make magazines, so when it comes out, I can hold it, and it's like, oh, we created this again. What gives you satisfaction?
I'm a people person, you know, and seeing someone smile,
Happy,
saying goodbye,
right?
saying hello again.
Right.
There's a satisfaction. So like you develop a little relationship with these people.
That's what customers want to have in a hotel. If everybody were like you,
Not
would be
everybody.
great.
Many customers want to not be known. Just leave me alone. Don't bother me. Don't take my bag. And you get a sense of that, and you cater to everybody's different
right?
needs and wants. And the challenge is to identify what those needs or wants are, and then provide it for them.
Right.
So.
Right. So when did you come to China?
I've been in China for a little over 4 years now, 2015.
And you didn't come here for a hotel job?
No. I left hotel industry and the hours were getting to me. It really was. I've done it for so long in one way or another, real estate in one way or another. And, managing apartment communities is the same as managing hotels. They're real estate units. For hotels, you're selling per night, and apartments, you're selling 6 months to a year. So it's the same industry from a management standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But the money wasn't there. I wasn't moving up fast enough. I'd done all this education, and the corporate scene, when I got to that, wore me out completely. Right. And I went back to the operations side, and I was working the same amount of hours and not getting the financial reward that I needed, because you reach a certain age, you're in your prime earning years, and you're working this hard, and you sacrifice family, you sacrifice relationships, right, for that.
So that
I was looking for something different.
At that time, probably you had a wide array of options that you wanted to pursue. China became one of those.
No, actually, I fell into China. Teaching was always something I wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah, of my whole life. But I wanted to do it when I'm an old man. I'm not an old man. I'm 40, so I'm not an old man yet. But I saw teaching as a way to get back into traveling the world and satisfy my wanderlust a little bit. Mm-hmm. Hotels wasn't satisfying that. I was really excited to get into international brands and work in hotels overseas and stuff like that. But those opportunities were not being presented to me. So I saw this as a way to do it, and I always wanted to teach. I just started earlier than I thought.
Well, it's interesting because we had another guest that talked about the great thing of having second career, right? Yeah. And I guess that's what you're doing now.
That was the plan. I mean, I knew in order to be an effective teacher, I had to have a lot of life experience first, and I think that makes me a better teacher because I have real world experience, even as an English teacher. Because language, you talk about science, you talk about economics, you talk about accounting, and you talk about travel.
It's very interesting because a lot of the teachers that come here come fresh out of college.
That's right.
With very little experience. So all I bring to the table is language.
And not because they want to be teachers.
Probably they don't really want to be teachers. It's just that's where the money is and that's where the opportunities are.
Right.
And so that makes it a little bit different. Have you been with the same employer all this time, or have you changed jobs, or?
I've had two employers. My first employer was Metin, or Melian in Chinese, and fantastic training center company, a growing company. They're based out of Shenzhen. And, when I was choosing, because you have a choice, it's your choice when you come here. I mean, you get so many offers, and
it's insane.
It's insane. So you apply to 4 or 5 different schools, and you'll get 4 offers, and it's your choice of city. So I chose Metin, but really I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And it was a shot in the dark. And it was a good shot because those people, people like to complain about working in training centers sometimes. I had an amazing experience. And the people are still, to this day, some of my best friends in China. And I consider them my family in China, really. So I've maintained an excellent relationship with them.
For a lot of people who work in like large training centers, Metan is quite large in China. The second option is how to choose a location.
Yeah.
So what about the place where you are, Zhongshan, made you decide to go there?
Yeah, most people have never heard of it.
It's the furniture place, right?
I
mean, what people
they
say.
make furniture. I've worked in one of the small towns called Shalan, which makes lighting. They're famous for lighting, hardware, and chrysanthemums.
And what is it? Is it the one of the famous Chinese old figure from Zhongshan?
Sun Zhongshan. Yeah, Sun Yat-sen. Yeah.
Sun Yat-sen.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. There is a house there and everything.
Yeah,
right,
it's a wonderful first-class museum. It's really one of the only things you would go to Zhongshan for if you're not in business.
Right.
But it is a first-class museum that I recommend everyone go see. I've been there multiple times, and it's a great history lesson, and everything there is top-notch, world-class.
Right. Do you your first experience in life, I mean, not that it was the first, but being in hospitality and what we spoke about, you think it prepares you well to do other things? Because like you are, I would say, if you don't mind, a people pleaser, right? Service, like you you talk about reading people, and you just want them to be happy. That's why you were good in your job.
That's the intrinsic motivation. In grad school, I studied leadership theory, and so I've studied this like crazy. And I love it. I love reading people. And in China, they actually understand the concept of EQ, emotional intelligence, right? In the West, that's not a thing. It's all about IQ, right? So if you can understand or you can find out someone's intrinsic motivations, then you can lead them or get them to do anything.
Right.
So one of the reasons that we wanted to have you here is to talk a little bit about hotels in China, hotel careers in China. I know from your YouTube channel that you review hotels. So we wanted to ask you about, different things about China and hotels. First of all, do you get like special treatment when you review a hotel? Does that play a role in the kind of service you get or the kind of room that you get?
Sometimes. It depends on how I approach it. Oftentimes I'll be invited. I'm doing the La Meridian in Zhongshan right now, which has been devastated by what's going on right now. They're in Gankou, which is the furniture part of Zhongshan, and there's no business. No business.
Zero orders.
Yeah, and it's a first-class property. It's open right now, but it's on the list to be closed. And I know the manager there, and they've actually invited me to come. They're going to give me the VIP treatment. And so that's one example. But when I'm traveling on my own, oftentimes I do a lot of research about which one I want to stay at, which one I think will provide the most interesting experience. Not necessarily the nicest or the most best reviewed. I just want an interesting experience. Because at the end of the day, a hotel room is a bed and four walls.
Yeah.
Whether you get special treatment or not, do you even like to tell them that you do that in advance?
Oftentimes, in advance, sometimes. It depends. Okay. It depends on the property. It depends on what I'm looking for or what I want. Usually, if the property is very expensive, then I will contact them ahead of time and tell them, look, this is what I'm coming to do. I'm trying to get some special favors. But if it's in Asia, properties are very, very reasonably priced.
Right.
So it's wonderful if you're a hotel buff like me to travel around Asia because you get incredible deals. Not always. If you international brands, Ritz-Carlton, Hyatt, Sheraton, Sofitel, even the Pullman that I'm at, you're going to pay a lot more money for these properties because they're internationally brands.
But you said before, even if they do give you some special treatment, you're still honest in your reviews.
100%. I make that very clear to them. If we talk about it.
Right.
But there have been some hotels that I do clandestine. I just do my thing and they have no idea what I'm doing. And then
I like that.
If it's great, then I give them a little, here's my channel. We used to, in a week.
We used to do our reviews when we started. We used to do our bar and restaurant reviews always like that.
That's the best way to do it.
Didn't even tell them we're coming. Years change. Today, media is different, I think, than 15 years ago.
When I worked for that magazine in Orange County, I sold advertising for it, and the restaurants would say, "Well, we'll buy advertising if you give us a good review." And I said, "Well, then you're sacrificing journalistic integrity for that, So,
but in the end of the day, today I say I'm not in the business of telling people where not to go. I'm in the business of telling people where to go. If a place is horrible, I'm just not reviewing it.
There you go. That's a good policy.
That's a good strategy. I wanted to know because not being able to read Chinese, whenever I'm going to travel, I use Booking.com. You mentioned earlier when we were preparing for this interview that you don't use Booking.com. What do you use and why?
I've tried using Booking.com multiple times, and each time it has failed. I get to the hotel, and they say, we're not honoring this reservation. That's one thing. When you have a reservation, the hotel never has to honor it. They can change it or deny it as soon as you get there.
With Booking or just in general?
With all reservations. A reservation doesn't mean jack.
Really?
Yeah. No, they'll walk you. They'll refuse you entry. They'll give you a lower room.
Why would they? Why does it happen when it happens?
It has to do with revenue management.
Okay.
So you remember that thing a couple of years ago, the airlines, they overbooked the airline, they dragged the guy off that happens in hotels more than airlines.
Okay.
It's called overbooking, and then they walk you when you get there.
They do that. Okay. Yeah. I see.
It's all about revenue management, and it's a horrible practice.
So what do you use?
I use trip.com almost exclusively now, no matter where I am in the world. And this is not
It's
not a sponsor.
It's not a sponsor.
But maybe they will
Podcast.
become. hopefully.
I would love it. I would love
But
it.
if you work for Citrip or
Yeah.
trip.com, give us a call.
So
Absolutely.
Ctrip and trip.com, same thing.
Same thing. Yeah. When the beginning was always Ctrip, and in China it's still Ctrip. But if you go to ctrip.com or trip.com, it's the exact same website. So they've actually expanded, and now internationally it's trip.com.
Yeah, it's have you not used it, Fernando?
No, I only use booking.com. But I have a question. I mean, is there a trick as to which currency to view the hotels? I mean, because sometimes I view it in dollars, but I said, no, just give it to me in renminbi because I don't know what. Is there a trick to
I
that?
think there is a lot more than that, but yeah.
As far as getting a bit better price,
Yeah.
oh,
I mean,
I haven't noticed one. I simply, there's toggles in the upper right hand corner of the website. You put it in English, and then you put the currency that you want. And I
Uh-huh.
always do renminbi because
You mean that's in
my
Trip?
money. You know,
That's in trip.com.
As in trip, but most of these are aggregators. So how it works is a hotel will say, we will give this aggregator 20 rooms. So they release 20 rooms to be sold on the website, and they give a price. And oftentimes the price is very, very low. You get to the hotel, you buy off an aggregator, and then the front office management will see what price you're paying and then rack and stack your room based on that price. So you pay more money, you get a better room. If you buy off these aggregators, you're paying less money, you're going to get a shitty room.
So you don't even know, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's easy trick.
Well, it also depends on occupancy. If they're heavily occupied, then you're going to get the crappy room.
Right.
But if there's very little occupancy and you get a good price, chances are you're going to get a great room.
We wouldn't know, but he would know.
exactly.
I
That's
know
the way
all the
this
tricks of
podcast
the
is
trade,
going.
man.
But that's interesting what you say. I never had the experience of this kind of the price play with the currency. But
Because other people, like other YouTubers that you know, that are currently in California, they were saying that if you use a VPN, you can change the location and the prices will be different.
that's about location and mostly about cookies. And that I know about flights. Is it the same with hotel rates?
I don't know.
You know what I
don't
mean,
know
right?
for-
The-
yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, so they know
Like
you're
you're-
looking
you're-
at something. And
For example, tourists from China pay more than tourists from Colombia, for example. So if you just search
I've
using
heard-
a
or
Colombian
you just
VPN,
know that you keep looking about on the same thing.
Yep.
So they will.
I've heard that. I've heard rumors that happens with certain hotels, but I've never experienced it personally.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about what are your strategies for getting a better deal?
There's many. There's many. It depends on the type of hotel you want to go to and what part of the city you want to go to. So, for example, if you're going to go to a city center, and stay in a business hotel, obviously the rates on the weekends are lower, whereas the resort hotels are higher on the weekends.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's one thing you got to think about. Seasons, obviously, summer's going to be higher almost everywhere you go.
Seasonal events like the Canton Fair
Absolutely,
here in China.
100%. You got to what events are in? Is the NBA in town? Things like this. Also, occupancy. If you call ahead and say, "Hey, you guys very busy," and they say, "Oh yeah, we're very slammed," you're not going to get a good rate. But if you say, "No, things are looking good," and I said, "Do you have any events in the hotel?" And they said, "Oh, we have a wedding." So if you have one wedding, it's okay. But if you have a conference, you ain't getting nothing. So it's understanding what's happening at the hotel and around the hotel.
The business at the time that you're planning on going.
Yes.
So you
It takes a lot of research to get a good deal.
So you go online, you go on trip.com, and you do other things.
Yeah.
You don't
call,
only
you
go
talk.
online. Like
No.
everybody would just go online, trip.com, look. Maybe they will look at other websites too. And they will not call the hotel.
Yeah.
People don't do that.
Well, if you call the hotel, ask to speak to the front office manager. Don't ask to speak to the salesperson because they're going to sell you. The front office manager, and you have to speak their language. You have to understand, okay, how's your occupancy? What kind of discount can I get off the rack rate?
But are they willing to facilitate this information?
100%.
Yeah.
You just have to ask. They
This is
want
an
to sell
interesting
you a
thing
room.
This is an interesting thing that you were talking about during the preparation that we were doing. Most people that go to a hotel, what do?
When they go to the hotel,
Yeah.
When we get to the front desk,
they just,
here's my booking.
here.
Hurry
they
up.
just go
Yeah.
in,
Just give me my room.
They don't really pay attention to
You're taking
anyone.
too long. Come on.
Fighty up.
Why is there only one person
Yeah.
behind the desk? I have to wait 10 minutes to
Yeah.
check
So
in.
what do you tell our viewers and our listeners out there to do? What's the right way to do it?
Well, I think it's, you mentioned it's,
It's good advice for anything.
Yeah.
just be nice.
Meaning?
The smile is the international symbol of friendship, right? You can walk around the most dangerous neighborhoods in the world with a smile, and people will smile right back at you.
People will be afraid of you.
True.
What's he got to laugh about?
My wife would agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, easy to forget.
Yeah, and it's not just with hotels. I mean, when I'm on an airplane, the stewardess, or excuse me, flight attendant, you ask, "Hey, what's your name?" "Oh, yeah, you got a long flight, huh? Well, thank you for working. Thank you for working my flight. I appreciate that." "Oh, thank you. Here, let me get you a beer. Here you go. Thank you very much." Yeah, and it's reciprocal. You know,
Right.
you give friendliness in the world, it comes right back to you.
Law of attraction.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's good. So, what some interesting hotel experiences you had around here in China? What can you tell us about maybe the best hotels you stayed at?
Yeah. I've had some interesting experiences. Again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean it's the nicest hotel in the world or the most comfortable bed or the most amenities or the biggest. It's all about the experience that you have. As far as large resort hotels, the best one was the Mayfield in Qingyuan. It's a sprawling development with homes and malls and apartments, and they have an incredible resort with a attached hot springs. It was pricey.
How much would someone pay for something like that?
I paid, I think, 1,200 RMB a night. But that included the hot springs for me and my guests.
Hot springs is all year long, right?
Usually, yeah.
But people go more in the winter?
Spring and fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So summertime is just too hot. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was first class property, first class restaurant, first class hot springs. Wonderful experience all the way around. But I mentioned the Planet Hotel in Guangzhou, which is a 3-star. I would call it a 3-star hotel. A small little boutique hotel in the Liwan district that most people have never heard of. But it's such a unique concept. And those are the hotels that have lasting memories. I can stay at a Sheraton, I can stay at a Hilton, but they're all the same at the end of the day, right? The ones that give you a unique stay, those are the ones that have lasting memories. So and that's ultimately why you stay in a hotel.
What was unique about this one, the Planet Hotel?
It had a theme of space. You know, like there were aliens everywhere, and everything was white. It looked like it was designed by Apple. Everything was just white, bubbly, you know, and the carpets were super plush. So when you walked on them, you really felt you were weightless and walking on the moon. Those little attention to detail was fantastic. The shower had like 12 shower heads and music playing, you know, and it was incredible food too and friendly service. Just a wonderful experience all the way around, and maybe 100 rooms total.
3 stars, but 1 planet.
Yeah.
So how much was that? Like that kind of nice experience?
That night I paid about 400 RMB. It was during the Spring Festival about 2 years ago.
It's about $60. That's
it was very reasonable. Yeah.
Now that you mentioned this is stars, I wanted to talk about the star system here in China. Is it comparable to stars in the West? For example, a 5-star hotel, 4-star hotel in the West, is it similar here? How does that work? Does it compare?
No. The star symbol here doesn't mean anything. You know, you stayed in an A tour that claims it's a 5-star hotel, and in reality, it's a 3-star in the West. The star system, the diamond systems, are managed by actual rating companies, and they have to meet certain standards. And we're not talking about standards of necessarily cleanliness, but amenities are the number one thing. Your property needs to have a swimming pool, a fitness center, a spa, multiple restaurants. Yeah. So just because you have great service doesn't make you a 5-star property. And that is thrown around left and right here. And in China, typically you get what you pay for. So here in Dongguan, I'm staying at the Pullman, which is an internationally known 5-star brand. So it's going to be pretty legit. And I got a good rate, very good rate during this time, right? But there are other hotels here in this town that claim to be 5-star that I know for a fact are not, and the price is 200 RMB a night.
What are the telltales of a 5-star hotel that's advertised a 5-star hotel, but it's not really a 5-star hotel?
My experience is, with the exception of the Wanda brand, which is a fantastic Chinese brand and one that I highly recommend. If it's a Chinese managed hotel that is more than 5 years old, that hotel has not been renovated or taken care of. It might have been a 5-star property when it first opened, but after cuts and revenue drops, the amenities start closing, the restaurants cut their hours.
Right.
They have limited room service, and the rooms smell like smoke.
Right.
So that's been my experience in China, unfortunately.
How often a hotel needs to do renovation?
Typically once every 5 years would probably be best. But you don't have to do renovation if you have good housekeeping, maintenance, a recurring maintenance program. That means you have to take certain rooms out of inventory, take everything out, replace the carpets, because the carpets are the number one thing you have to replace in a hotel room.
Right.
Yeah.
Better not have a carpet.
Yeah, carpets and mattresses.
Right.
Yeah. So you take all that out, you deep clean the room, put everything back. It's out of circulation for a few days, but you have to have a recurring cycle for that. If you don't have that, then you're kind of...
How about the bed? I mean, after all, it's a hotel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Sheraton was like, maybe many brands, they boast their bed pillows and stuff like that. Would you agree that that's super important?
Maybe.
Maybe?
It depends on your liking. Here in China, people like hard beds.
Right.
As a Westerner, I like very soft bed.
Right.
And you can't please everybody. So I have seen many hotels. There's one here in Dongguan that has, they're right next to a mattress factory, and they're like sponsored by this mattress factory. And so when you go there, you can ask for a certain type of mattress and pillow.
Wow. Okay.
So that's actually what they specialize. The Richie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Richie.
Yeah.
Richie? Hotel?
That old guy who's supposed to have a monkey job, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So that hotel is got a connection with a mattress company right next to it.
All right.
All right.
I'm gonna start with the first question. Yeah. So you're from LA.
Yep.
Shaq or Kobe?
Kobe.
What's your reasoning for this?
I actually went to high school with Kobe's wife.
For real?
Yeah.
She's very famous now.
Well, she went to the same high school. When I was a senior, she was a freshman.
Did you go to games when living in LA?
Never been to a Laker game in my life. Always watched them on
Okay.
TV because Chick Hearn was so awesome.
All right. So next one. Going the same line. LA or New York?
I knew you were going to ask me this, I guess. LA is my home. It's where my heart is. But as far as a city goes, New York.
Why?
There's an energy, an international energy there that is unlike anywhere else in the world. And the history of New York is the history of America. And I'm a big fan of American history.
So you spend a lot of time there? In the
No, I
past?
haven't. I have spent a few weeks here, a few weeks there. And every time I go, I have the time of my life.
Is there any city in China or in Asia that would compare to Hong Kong?
To Hong Kong?
Sorry. That would compare to New York?
Yeah, Hong Kong.
Are you thinking about that?
That's my answer. Yeah, Hong Kong is my second favorite city in the world. So even though LA is my home, Hong Kong is just like New York, only with
So
a
LA
little bit
becomes like
better.
third in the list now?
LA is my home. My heart is in LA. It's family.
They
and
say
friends,
you need to live in LA at least once, but live before it makes you too soft, and you need to live in New York at least once, but live before it makes you too hard.
Yeah, it's very. I've never lived in New York, but
I lived in
of
LA.
all the places I've been, New York is.
New York is fun.
Yeah.
I live there, and it's it never stops. It's true.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
It's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
It's your turn, sir.
Is it me? Okay. All right. So
I like this. This is cool.
we spoke about a hotel. So
Yeah.
Hyatt or Sheraton?
Hyatt.
Oh, that
Hyatt,
was
yeah.
fast.
Yeah, Sheraton in China and Asia is a very high-end brand, but back in the States, Sheraton is not that great a brand. It's pretty low-level properties.
Right.
Hyatt and the Hyatt brothers do a very good job with their management.
Right. There's some
Alright.
interesting stories about Hyatt and Sheraton in Dongguan. Maybe we'll get to talk about it soon.
Okay.
Sure, but those are an easy one. That's an
Yeah.
easy answer. Okay, next one. Chinese girls or Western girls?
Ooh.
Oh.
No. Well, look, I live in China.
Yeah.
I live in China. I live in China, so right now, Chinese girls, but girls is
Okay,
my
I have
answer.
a question about this. Did you like Asian girls before you came to China?
I like girls. The thing with look, I've dated every kind of girl you can imagine in my life. I'm single. I'm not married. I don't have any children. So all of my girlfriends have been varied. I've dated.
Because I didn't.
When
When I first came to China, I did not find Chinese women attractive.
really,
And it's just kind of like
Me
they
too.
grow.
yeah.
But if it was guys, it would be okay too. By the way, you like girls, you like girls. And when we have a girl here, we'll ask about the guys. Don't think we're like
it's not like we are trying to no.
My thing is I like intelligent women.
Right.
You could be a 5 in looks, but if you're a 10 in intelligence, you've got.
I think that with the Chinese girls, one of my problems is not that they're not intelligent, but the culture difference. It's you don't have the same topics to talk about, and it feels like a difference in intelligence, but it's more like mentality and culture. And
that's what I love about it, though.
Yeah.
The more I can learn from somebody, the more interested I am, and the more we can talk about.
Right.
I extrapolate this idea of intelligence to something very basic. I don't want a yes girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
I want somebody
exactly.
who says, I want something like, no, why? Because, okay,
Yes.
explain.
Yes.
Let's have an argument. Let's have it. I hate.
I
okay,
100% agree with you.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it
100%.
seemed like some girls here are like that.
Yeah, you're
So,
gonna find girls
yeah.
like that everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So regardless of where they're from, a yes girl or a girl that doesn't have her own
on mind,
opinions,
yeah.
I can't stand that.
Right. But even the ones that don't, then you
I'm
get
gonna
married.
cut this on the edit so my wife doesn't hear.
Then you get married and things change also.
All right, your turn, Ziv.
All right. Air Force or Navy?
Air Force.
All right.
Male.
Yeah, that's an easy one, man. I'm an Air Force civil engineer, dude, and it's a huge part of my personality. The best decision I ever made, and I'm still very active in the veteran
How
world.
does it show in your personality? I mean, what would you say is one of the
In Israel, I don't know if it's the same in the U.S. Army or in Israel.
Air Force.
Yeah, in Israel, Air Force is like Air Force. They're like right there.
highest?
Yes. You have certain kind of aura to you or something, they think at least. So I don't know, is it the same?
There's that perception in the world, but if you ask any airman, Marine, Army, soldier, or sailor, we're all brothers in arms, regardless. So we all wear the same flag on our shoulder.
But I think there is a special unit pride. I guess Navy would say the same. Navy, it's...
Yeah, and there's definitely a friendly rivalry between the services.
Right.
But in the veterans groups, we're all brothers in arms. So
I know that you recently bought a car, so we're going to talk about that also. So manual or automatic?
manual. Yeah. Manual is just...
I wouldn't think.
Do
that
you
from an
drive
American.
manual now?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
You do?
And
Okay.
in fact, that was a big decision. I did not want an automatic in the car I chose. I looked everywhere for a manual, not just for the maintenance reasons. It's an automatic transmission will go out and
Because you and I.
yeah, but manual is more engaging, more fun.
Mhm.
I just enjoy it more.
What about in America? What
In
did you
America,
have?
I've had both.
Uh-huh.
I have a Mitsubishi Montero still in America with an automatic.
Mhm.
Because the American version of it, you couldn't get a stick.
Okay.
Yeah, old school. Manual is nice, I agree, but till then you're stuck at 6 p.m. traffic on Dongguan Dadao or somewhere. And then, it's nice. It's a nice idea, but then in the end, I want an automatic.
Here's an interesting thing. When my wife was doing the driving course, they give her an option. You can learn, for automatic, and you'll take your test in an automatic, or you take a manual, and you take your test on on
that
a
is
manual.
interesting.
I can't
Yeah.
even
I
believe
told her-
they teach on automatic now.
I told her, you're doing the manual. You need to learn the real thing.
Of course.
The real thing.
Don't, yeah.
We talked about your car with the,
Yeah.
it didn't even have a transmission.
Yeah.
So,
I think by the time my kids will drive, there would not be a choice. It will be automatic, right?
You'll be able to tell your
it'll all
AI
be
where to
electric.
take you.
Yeah, exactly.
Just about. You don't need to press anything. All right. Is this the last question?
No.
No, we got one more. Okay.
Yeah.
So, training center, teaching, I guess, or university.
That really depends on what you want out of it. If training center is a great thing for you to gain hours and experience, and the support systems in most of the larger training centers are fantastic, you're going to make a lot more money, but you work your tail off. And in a university, your per hour compensation is higher, but your aggregated compensation is lower because you're not working as much. So in my university, I don't work very much at all, and I get 5 months off paid.
Right.
So for me, it allows the freedom to travel, to do the things that I love to do, and that's why I chose university.
I've heard that a lot about university teaching, and I guess if you're a lazy person, it's not good. But I mean, if you do something else like you do, the YouTube channel, traveling, or a writer or something like that, then it's a good thing.
It's the perfect thing, and,
Right.
and it gives me not only the freedom to travel, but a different type of experience.
Right.
You know,
That's what I always tell people, and I've talked about this before in this channel and this podcast, is that I think that that's the best first job a foreigner can have.
I agree. Yeah.
Teacher or university?
Oh, university. Oh.
University, because you're taken care of and things are done at a slower pace, so you can adjust, even if it's for 1 term or 1 year.
But
And
again,
then
you need to be careful.
It-
You know,
yeah.
a 22-year-old that's lazy and it comes for that, you know.
Not only that, the support systems are really not there at a university. You're really left to your own devices. You know, so in a training center, they hold your hand every step of the way.
I think depends on the
Yeah.
training center.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. All right, I got the last one, sir. We've got here. I think I know the answer to this one. What anyway? Weights or cardio?
Ooh,
Ooh.
that's a great question. I want to say both, because
I can't get both. This
I
or
can't
that.
Oh, man.
I love weight training. You know, I love it, but I also love running in the hills.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so I think a balance.
Well, this is something that I see a lot. I mean, the name of a YouTube channel is Walkabout Rojo.
Mm.
Why Walkabout?
A great question. You know, walkabout comes from the natives in Australia. When a young man reaches maturity, he will then go on a walkabout into the bush to discover himself. And you know, that can take anywhere from 6 months to a year. And of course, my interpretation of what walkabout is much more personal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a discovery of yourself and discovery of the world around you. So walkabout doesn't necessarily mean walking through a city and looking at things. It's a discovery of food, people, experience, and most importantly, yourself. So when people watch my videos, they are walking about with me as I discover it. I don't pretend to be the expert on anything. I'm trying to learn as I go along.
Bring you with me.
That's the whole idea.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, let us continue talking a little bit about hotels, because we were not done with the topic, okay?
Right. Yes.
We live in Guangdong, and, well, anybody who's lived in Guangdong long enough has had the opportunity, perhaps, of spending a night or two in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
What's the hotel scenery in Hong Kong like?
Hong Kong is one of the most competitive hotel markets in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That one and Bangkok are probably the two high on. New York is up there as well, in Paris. But Hong Kong is one of the pinnacle places in the world. If you're in a hotel professional, Hong Kong is one of the places you want to go. So they have all the international brands. They have some one-off. You know, the Peninsula you mentioned is one of the most recognized hotels in the world, and it's the experience there has got to be as an employee, it's got to be amazing. Yeah,
What do you need to pay?
a lot.
No, for like a decent hotel in Hong Kong. I mean, I haven't stayed in a hotel in Hong Kong for a long time, honestly.
Well, but people who go through Hong Kong come from all walks of life and all budgets.
That's true.
So, have you ever stayed at one of them Chongqing Mansion kind of
Chungking
places?
Mansion, that's the one, right? Chungking Mansion on Nathan
Road.
Road. Yeah. They have other mansions too, right?
No, I have not.
No?
No,
Never.
No, if I'm in Hong Kong, I'm staying at a very nice one-off property that will give me a great experience.
Uh-huh.
Give us an example.
I stayed at the Rosewood, which was fantastic. The other one was the Ritz-Carlton. You know, I had a friend of mine who I used to work at Ritz-Carlton, so I had a friend of mine who was working there. It's the tallest hotel in the world, or it was at the time. I think it still is.
Is this Central?
No, it's in
Kowloon side?
Choi. Yeah, Tsim Sha Tsui.
Oh, okay.
Right next to the ferry terminal. It's the largest, tallest hotel in the world. Fantastic experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice view.
Yeah,
I
I got it for $50. Yeah, so normally you're gonna pay $300 or US
Right.
or not
Wow.
more. You know, for
Right.
a property like that.
So, yeah, I mean, anything you need to know specifically for when you go to Hong Kong to stay in a hotel, because a lot of people even, go through Hong Kong and go to other places, right? I think I remember that like OK Hotel, still a small room, Hong Kong is 800-900, maybe 1,000.
Maybe, yeah, you can find them cheaper than that. I can stay in Hong Kong in a fairly decent 3-star, 4-star for about $100.
$100, right?
Yeah, it's about $600-700.
What's the least you paid, Fernando, to stay
The
in Hong
least
Kong?
I
Yeah,
paid.
the
Okay,
least.
this is back in the
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Okay, when you were
20 years
doing
ago.
like
Back in the day.
visa runs and whatnot.
Visa runs, yeah.
Yeah, and you had to stay overnight to pick up your passport the next day. 250.
250 Hong Kong dollar.
250, and you would sleep with your clothes on because.
I think I paid 150. Yeah, I think it was someone's apartment.
Well, that was also back in the day. Nowadays, of course, it's ridiculously cheap.
Okay.
So, I mean, last summer, definitely. Now,
Right
you
now,
can't even get there.
to 2020,
Yeah.
it's going to be
I
cheap
usually
for a while.
now when I go with my family, with my wife and my in-laws, sometimes when we go to visit, we stay at the what's it called, Baden Powell, the Boy Scouts hotel.
Oh, okay. Baden
That's
Powell's
near-
the creator of the Boy Scouts, founder of the Boy Scouts.
Founder of the Boy Scouts. Great hotel, great price, great location of the Kowloon Park, and not pricey at all.
That's a good recommendation. Man.
Well, I
Check that
think
one out.
I haven't, like I said, I haven't been for a while. I haven't needed to stay there, but now I have a couple of friends with nice places, so I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
All right, I have another question because when you talk about staying places, traveling, whatnot, going on a budget, and what's up, what about Airbnb? What can you tell us about Airbnb? Have you ever stayed on an Airbnb here in China? What do you tell us about Airbnb?
I can't tell you very much, honestly, because I never used Airbnb in my life.
Right.
Yeah. So, but you have, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the hotels, are they afraid of that? I mean, are they worried about Airbnb? Did this
I think
hurt the hotel industry?
I think initially everyone was really, really scared. I think it hurts the apartment community and the affordability of regular locals in the area because it jacks up rents. Hotels are a much different experience, and so there's a differentiation that the hotels are actually leaning into a lot more and saying, well, Airbnb, you're not going to get a restaurant attached. You're not going to have You're not going to have the service. So that's the selling point for hotels now, and they haven't been hurt by it. They really haven't. So.
But maybe it's more old school to want that. Maybe young people just want their freedom in an Airbnb that they can
They just want to play.
distract.
I know people. I know
Destroy.
people who have who have said, I'm never staying in a hotel again. It's going to be Airbnb forever.
Right.
For me, I don't understand. I don't like the appeal of Airbnb. I don't want to stay in someone's house. I want to stay in a hotel. I want those amenities and that convenience.
But a hotel person can actually get property and make a few rooms, and with an honest, desire to give good service. Someone like you, for example, to open like a place that's basically on Airbnb, but is like really nice and give all the services and right? That can happen.
There's regulation issues with that going on right now. Are you now a hotel management company? Are you running a hotel? Do you need to pay occupancy tax now? So there's lots of different things that people are still working out.
Like for how many rooms or something
well,
like
how many
that.
rooms, how you're managing it. I mean, are you the owner? Are you a manager of it?
Right.
Occupancy tax? What the heck is that?
So every, taxes and fees and regulations as far as, fire and, there's a lot of different things that go into running a hotel that Airbnb is not subject to.
You have experience in booking hotels and looking at advertisement and picking what's true, what's not true. There is a tendency that you mentioned when we were doing the preparation for this podcast, talking about apartments that are just not hotels.
Yeah.
How can you tell? What's the telltale that a place is not a hotel? It's just an apartment.
It's got a kitchen.
It's got a kitchen.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's the number one thing. Yeah.
All right.
Or even just a little kitchenette. Because hotels don't want you cooking in the room. They want you eating in the restaurant.
If you see a kitchen, walk away.
Yeah.
Are we ready with the next game, Fernando?
Yeah. Okay. So let's start.
There's another game?
There is another game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
The game is here. This one is called What's Up With That? What's up with that? So what we're going to do is we go through your social media, to your WeChat account, to your Facebook and all these things, and we look for something that's a little bit, that we would like to know a little bit about.
Fernando was nosy a bit earlier. And what did you find?
Were you really? Oh,
well, first of all, this is a question that I have because, I have an opinion about it, but I want you to tell me. What's this about?
Oh, this video here. Yeah. So this is in Cebu, Philippines. Mm-hmm. And I was on Walkabout there during Spring Festival a couple of years ago. And I love marine biology. I love scuba diving. I grew up doing this my whole life. My family's huge in it in many different aspects. And I had the opportunity to swim with the whale sharks there.
How do you feel about that?
It was a wonderful experience. Yeah.
It's
Now,
that big fish, yeah.
it's a big fish.
It's a big
It's a
fish.
humongous
Yeah, I
fish.
know.
It's a fabulous and beautiful fish that you can get in the water with.
Mhm.
Now, you're not supposed to touch them, you
Mhm.
know, and I totally support that. You know, these are wild animals.
How do you
But-
feel about the idea that these animals are just there because they're fed every day? And I mean, it's not, I don't know,
Do you think it changed? You mean in the fact that it changes their natural
behavior.
Are they caged?
No,
No, they're not
They're not
caged.
caged.
No.
But that's the thing. I mean, if you feed them every day, they just keep coming for the
Coming
food.
back, yeah.
Yeah.
They need a lot of
And
food.
they develop some of the issues. For example, I don't know, you're marine biology a little bit. They learn to swim kind of like inclined,
Yeah.
not horizontally. They swim like this because they're just looking up at the boats, and that's not natural, and that's actually not good for them as well. And the other thing is that, well, yes, they always tell you don't touch the whales, but there's always going to be the
Yeah.
a-hole.
So why not touching the whales?
Because you could infect them, you could pass some kind of virus, bacteria, whatever,
Ah.
or remove some of the protective layers of whatever it is that they have. So yeah,
It's
you-
generally a good rule. Yeah. I have mixed feelings about it, just like I do with zoos.
Yeah.
I mean,
know.
let me be fair and say that I did go,
Oh, okay. You did it too. Yeah.
and I did it too. And then when I came out of it and I read about it, I'm like, oh, I wish I hadn't.
Here's my thing. It's the same thing with zoos and aquariums. You know, the vast majority of these animals are left to on their own, and they're out in the wild. When things like this happen, or a zoo has an animal, it's a sacrifice. It's sad to see caged animals. I get that, but at the same time, those animals are educating us about those animals, whereas normally we would never have any experience with them or seeing them firsthand. So I have mixed feelings about it.
There is a line somewhere, right?
Somewhere, I don't know if we're crossing it. Or not,
I just
so
I
d-
just
have
started
no idea.
watching the Netflix, the craziness, the new thing. What is it? The Tiger King. Have you heard about it?
No. What's that?
That's it's too much. I'm not. I'll tell you later.
Sounds interesting though. I gotta look at
It's
this one.
some crazy
Yeah.
show. Yes.
All right, let's go with another picture. Well, this one right here,
Ah, yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So we talked briefly about this.
Mm-hmm.
You bought a Chinese secondhand car.
Yes.
Okay, why that choice?
Why a Chinese car? Or?
Why a Chinese car?
What's the car?
It's
It's,
a
Great
Haval
Wall.
H6. Yeah, a Great Wall Haval H6.
Okay.
And it's
Hover,
a-
yes. Okay.
yeah,
I've
and
seen
it's
the-
I
I got a Chinese car. I like it. I
Yeah.
got BYD.
That was one of my first cars. Was the Great Wall.
yeah. Most of the I said I wanted a Chinese car because they're cheaper,
Uh-huh.
but
Agree.
I wanted a good quality one, and almost all my friends said, well, the Haval, excuse me, is one of the best quality SUVs that you can get, and they are a little bit more pricey than some of the other brands. And I looked at the other brands, and I drove many cars. I spent a lot of time and patience
Because I
looking for the
remember
car.
you kept saying, I want to buy a car, I want to buy a car, I want a
Mhm.
car. It took you a
a
while.
long time. Yeah,
Couple of
I
months.
took because I wanted to find the perfect fit for
You
the
do your
perfect price.
research.
Yeah, I did. I didn't remember. You don't need a car in China. It's a tool or a toy.
Mhm.
And that's what I bought it for. I saved up. I knew I was buying a toy and not a daily driver.
At what point did you decide to buy a car? As if
It took me 10 years. I was here for 10
Wow,
years before I bought a
wow.
car, 6,
In
7 years
Dongguan?
ago. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think...
was it a big decision? Was it a big? I mean, because we all feel like we are here, but are we here forever? Are we? You know what I mean?
It changed our life because, well, I had kids. I mean, I had one child, and my second child was born.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 kids. I got a boxer dog.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know, again, 6 p.m. taxis, raining. I mean, from work every day. No metro yet,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
There's no
that's
subway. Because today I don't drive. I take the metro. I leave the car at home for my
Really?
wife. She doesn't even need to drive it much, but I take the metro. It's nicer. You get to walk, right? Because it's convenient enough. But back then it wasn't. And you know, when you get a car, you realize, oh man, I didn't really know the city until now.
Yeah.
Because you just go from point A to point B, right? You say you don't really need a car in China. You mean, I guess, Didi, taxis, easy, cheap, right?
Yeah.
That's what you mean,
Yeah,
right?
That and public transportation.
Yeah, but then you don't get the discovery.
yeah.
You don't...
You do
know.
get the getting lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to get
finding
lost.
your way back.
And today, I know the city so well. you know. So it's nice. But again, I prefer not driving if there is good public transportation. Yeah.
So you waited how many years to buy the car? 4 years?
Yeah, just about. It's just my 4-year anniversary. I bought it. Yeah.
Was it an important decision, or you knew that it was going to be something you were going to do?
Well, when I first came to China, I didn't know I was going to stay. Like you were saying, it's kind of a commitment to stay a little bit longer. And then when I started making the commitment, okay, I'm going to be here a while, and I exhausted all of the places I can get to by public transportation and DD and stuff. And I'm a hiker, you know. I love to explore the mountains, and the buses don't go to the trailheads.
Yeah.
So, you know, it just seemed like a natural fit. This is not a daily driver. I walk 20 meters to my classroom every day. So this is, for me, a tool to get to the trailheads and a toy on the weekends.
Can we talk a little bit more about cars? So you said you tested many different Chinese cars.
Chinese cars.
Only Chinese cars.
Yeah, because the foreign cars I've got experience with back home. So
right.
the Chinese cars are not.
There was
back
nothing
home.
to discover. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So what did you discover?
That the quality of modern Chinese cars is fantastic, and I think that the world is going to be awoken to Chinese vehicles when they come to especially in America. I think what's the brand that come to America?
Neo. What?
Well, Neo, your car.
He's
Neo.
just thinking about.
I know.
This.
You're all
Yeah,
about
I
the
can
Neo.
see his eyes.
And
He's
your car is
driving
pretty,
all day,
like
and
just
he's like,
thinking about Neo.
Your car is
Neo.
pretty kick-ass, man.
No, but I mean,
totally
before we
sold on
get
that
to
one.
Fernando's car, which is awesome,
Yeah.
I know. I didn't even believe that there are Chinese cars like that. But I got a BYD, right?
Yeah.
So BYD S6 SUV, it's more than 6 years old now.
Yeah.
Still good. I think I'm going to have it forever. I don't think I'm going to sell it. I think maybe I'll just buy another car.
Well, the BYDs for a long time were notoriously horrible quality, but then they got a huge investment from Warren Buffett.
Right.
Yeah.
He had
and it changed.
his picture is in
It's
every
night and
BYD
day.
dealership. You know.
You know, as things change in China so quickly, just the cities and everything, so is the quality of the vehicles.
BYD used to be just a battery company, I believe. Many years ago.
Build your dreams.
Yeah, and now it builds your dream. But so you tried which one? You tried the BYD, I guess.
I didn't. I've ridden in the BYDs, and I knew it's not
Okay.
something I want. I just don't like the design of them. They're not for me.
It's I got it. Basically, it's a copy of Lexus.
I know.
Yeah.
It's
One
not
I
an
got,
SUV.
yeah.
Yeah. No.
So you have the Great Wall.
I have the Great Wall, the wall.
What else?
Havel.
Havel is the
Havel.
model
It's
of
a
a Great
Havel.
Wall is the company.
Yes,
The
right?
Great Wall is the
correct,
company.
Yeah.
Haval is the
What
The
else you
brand, yeah.
tried?
I tried the Baojun.
Pardon?
Yeah, Baojun is it's like 3 different Chinese companies came together to create this brand. It's aimed at second tier cities. It's a affordable brand that is geared towards a younger generation.
It's not a electric car, right?
No, they're
No.
So when
they
you
make electric cars now, I believe.
when you say for people getting an idea about China, when you say it's very reasonably priced, how much you need to pay to get a decent car here?
Like a new car or a used car?
I mean, even used.
The used cars I looked at, mine was 28,000, and I got a great deal on it.
So 28,000,
That's about a little over $4,000.
$4,000.
Yeah, for a used, it's a
what
8-year-old.
model is it?
It's an H6. It's 12. It's 8 years old, and it had 97,000 kilometers, so about 60,000 miles on it. So I got it for $4,000, and this is a very, very good car. Most of the cars that I looked at originally were 3 to 4 years old, and they were around 50 to 60,000 RMB, depending on the brand, of course. Obviously, Hondas and Toyotas are much more expensive.
Yeah.
We did an article, a big story about secondhand cars years ago, and how does it work now? Like you take it to a evaluator, you take it to the third party to check, or like back home.
So for the price,
For secondhand to check the car that nobody's lying, no accidents, no.
Although the prices are,
Yeah.
Well,
there's no
yeah.
blue book in China.
no, but the car was originally advertised for 40,000, and yeah, so I got a heavy discount. So they talked it down, and they threw in the third party check, oil change, and transfer of ownership. Everything is 28 out the door, and that's
good.
because I had a great negotiator on my behalf, and she has
You
been
read them.
She has been handsomely rewarded.
Yeah, and then you have the other Chinese cars like Fernando's.
Well, that one, and I also heavily looked at the Geely, which is owned by Volvo, or Geely owns
Geely,
Volvo now,
yeah.
which is a wonderful brand, Chinese brand as well.
I guess the Neo is all the brands together or something, no? No, it's the other companies, not the brands. What do you say? It's Tencent and...
Basically IT companies that came together.
It's not the
to
car
start
companies
making
that
the
came together. It's the IT companies.
They approach JAC
Okay.
And they developed the car, and basically they put all the technology into the car, and JAC put the manufacturing into the car.
Right.
And it's just the most amazing car I've ever driven.
It's sick.
It
I'm
is.
very impressed with it. Man.
And it's very difficult to put into words and even video the build quality of a car. Because we were
Right.
talking about, well, Chinese cars, there's a lot of plastic here, a lot
Yes,
of plastic
yes.
there. But this thing is beautifully made.
Yes.
I felt like I was in like a Mercedes, BMW, some of these German cars.
Right,
luxury
it's
cars.
surprising for
Yeah.
China. As much as I love China, yeah, they do have issues. We did that. So yeah,
The
your
attention
car
to
is-
detail in this one is pretty
yeah,
spot on.
very nice.
All right, guys. So that was What's Up With This. All right, so let's continue with our interview. Paul, you just finished going through I think you're not finished actually. Well, this is a little bit of a particular scenario that we're going through right now, that you've been out of your residence in the university. But with this situation that we experienced at the beginning of 2020, your YouTube channel has been showing us what it is like to be you in absolute isolation at the university. So how did that happen? Okay, what's your situation, or what was your situation when you were locked down, sorry?
Well, when you live on the university, it's your home, you know. So my apartment is there. That is my home, and I can come and go as I please. And when things started going down, I was actually coming back from my road trip to Zhongshan. And as soon as I got back, then they locked everything down. Now, I don't live in your typical garden, so the rules for a educational facility are much different and under different administrators, I guess. So they originally told me that you cannot leave. They told me, go to the supermarket right now, get enough food for 2 weeks, but plan on being there indefinitely.
What did you buy?
Food.
What kind of food?
I bought, it's good. I bought lots of eggs, lots of orange juice, as many oranges as I could, you know, lots of apples. And, I ate it all, man. A lot of frozen chicken too. A lot of frozen chicken, which they then told me to throw out because of an H5N1 outbreak a couple of days later.
You started growing vegetables?
No, I can grow there. But what ended up happening was about day 12, I ran out of food. I didn't have any. I had rice. And that was it. And the rice was actually gifted to me by the university. So I had to beg the president of the college, hey, I need to go to the supermarket. And so they let me off to go to the supermarket. And even when I went, they were calling me every 10 minutes, asking me where I was, how much longer I'm going to be, get back as soon as you can.
So you basically locked down 12 days by that point.
Yes.
And how do you talk to the university president? I mean, is it on the phone, on WeChat? What is
No,
it?
there's an intermediary. So the university president doesn't speak English, so I would go through an interpreter who would then call the president. And so,
I mean, to give people the right picture, okay, this is a campus, and you were the only person on campus.
Nobody else.
What's the normal faculty size?
That's a good question. I don't know. There's usually thousands of people between the
And you were
students
the
and I was
Is
the
it like-
only one. The dorms are empty. The faculty housing is empty. The only ones there were myself and the security guards at the front gate.
And don't
Like-
forget the cats.
Like
And
the
the cats.
movies.
Yeah.
you
Go
know?
watch the videos.
Yeah,
Different
a lot of-
movies like that.
A lot
right?
of people
When you-
said it was just like being I Am Legend or the Omega Man or
Oh,
something.
Yeah,
I
those
Am
kind of
Legend.
movies. I was stuck in a mall once for the whole night. It was
During this
fun. Not during this time. We were teenagers. My friend was working for Haagen-Dazs, and that day the whole glass broke, the shop's glass. So they asked him to stay overnight there.
Just to watch the store.
Yes, inside the mall. So I was like, I'm staying with you. So we had the whole mall. It's kind of fun, right?
That is kind
So
of cool, yeah.
What do you do in university when nobody's around? Did you go through? I guess everything is locked. I don't know.
Although everything was roped off, you know. So as far as the classrooms, all the buildings,
Right.
there is a faculty gym that I wasn't able to go to. I mean, everything was closed.
Okay.
The roadblocks were deep. They were literally barricades up everywhere. So I couldn't ride my bike anywhere or drive my car anywhere.
I mean, from watching your videos, the channel is Walkabout Rojo. I remember one of the most painful things when I watched his videos was that when things started going back to normal and you were still locked down, like you knew people were out, but because of these particular regulations, you couldn't go out. how did you handle that emotion? I mean,
That was
how
very,
did that hit you?
It was very frustrating actually because I have friends and a girlfriend that lived right down the street and she couldn't come visit me. Nobody could come visit me, and I was running out of food. And having fresh food is very important to me. And I thank you very much for offering to bring me food. By the way, that was very
Sure.
nice. It's something that a good friend of mine was going to do, and his wife said, "No, you can't go."
I offered to bring masks and
you
coffee.
did.
I think.
Yeah.
I know we
definitely.
thought
You
about
can
having a
bring me
barbecue
Starbucks.
by the fence.
Well, a friend of mine said, "Why don't we have a barbecue? You can cook on your side and you pass it through the gate."
By the way, being 12 days by yourself, you didn't need to wear a mask at all.
No, I didn't. I only had to wear a mask once a day. I had to go down to the security guard to have my temperature taken. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's the only time I wore a mask. The rest of the time, I had a free reign of the campus, complete to myself. The running track, the basketball courts, everywhere.
So what do you do? This kind of situation.
I made a video called "My Chinese Groundhog Day," and it really felt like that. So you wake up, you cook, you chat with your friends, and have spirited debates about what's going on. You watch a lot of movies and a lot of TV.
The internet was okay.
Yeah, the internet was fine. Yeah, no problems with the internet, and
not sharing it, so
nobody's around.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's great,
that was wonderful. But I got used to the peace and quiet. I slept a lot.
Okay.
You sleep really well at night. You take a nap in the afternoon.
Did you get lazy or did you exercise and kept your morale up?
That's a great question. At the beginning, I was gung ho about making the best of this time, and learning more Chinese and
Right.
exercising,
Like
running around on the
everybody
track,
else,
like
yeah.
everybody. But around the end of the first week, it just got really old, and I was getting a little stir crazy. And
There is a point there, right? It happened to me too. We were never locked down.
yeah, here in Dangan we weren't.
Yeah, but it was very recommended that we stay in. And I did stay in. I had like a few cases in my garden. So I did stay in for a week. And even though I went out for like a 20-minute walk, still, and I was alone, my family they were in the States, there is a point after a week where you're a bit like, you're starting to feel emotional. You watch stuff and you cry more. You're more emotional.
We were talking about this, right? How it's brought a lot of people to tears. I was telling you when we were having dinner, like just watching the situation go down and people closing their businesses and not being able to go anymore. It's been tough. It's been tough.
Right.
I'll tell you what, when you published that picture of all the green squares, I cried. All the squares were green.
Right.
That day I cried.
Because we published every day
what
the
was
numbers,
this?
numbers, and it went down and down and down and down, and then it got all green.
There were
For
no new cases,
Right.
no critical cases, and everybody had recovered. That day, I
right
cried.
now it's March 30th, and we are 30 days without a new local case. At least that's what I say.
And I'm still locked down on my
You're still
campus.
locked down.
I can leave once per day.
You just ran away from home right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm allowed to leave once per day. So if I forget anything at the supermarket, I wait till the next day. But it took me it was a progression. Originally, it was once every 3 days for 2 hours, and then once every other day for 2 hours. Now it's once per day. And whereas the rest of Guangdong does not have any restrictions, I still cannot have anyone come visit me on the campus.
Something with the school. Yeah, I've heard about that. And I've heard that happened a lot back in 2002, 2003 with the other outbreak,
Fade in.
with many schools. And I wonder, did you connect with anyone online that maybe is in the same situation as you, anywhere in China?
The YouTube community has actually been wonderfully supportive. Fernando has been great. All of the YouTubers out there that were going through the same thing. WeChat groups, I'm friends with some of them, and it has been wonderful. Also, it's funny that my local friends that I hang out with all the time in the city, we started sharing recipes and, check out this movie. And I think we got closer as friends.
Interesting.
Even though we
On
were
WeChat.
Through WeChat, yeah. Even though we were far away from one another, we didn't see each other every day.
I think that in everyday life, you don't have an opportunity to show that you care. There's no need to show that you care. But when we are all in this, it kind of comes afloat, and you want to show. Hey, are you okay?
Unite more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
You know,
a nice silver lining.
The funny thing was, recently I've gotten a lot of emails and messages from my friends back home. Whereas
Right.
when I was in lockdown and
deep,
isolated,
When they were partying,
there was nothing, no message. But as soon as it happened to them, I got a flood from old friends I haven't seen in a long, long time.
me too.
And
How did you guys handle this?
Well, it was that, but it was also, how are you? How are you? Are you okay? You know,
Yeah.
and it was wonderful. I
I
forget
get
the
this a
time.
lot.
Forget the timing. I really loved reconnecting with some of those people. That
A lot of people are asking me now. A lot
It's
of people.
very interesting because over the last 5 days, I've had people that I haven't talked to in years
Yeah, me
that
too.
are doing exactly the same.
yeah.
And you know who you are. I love talking to you
No,
guys.
yeah, I like it too.
It's
you know,
amazing
they
how
ask-
the social distancing has brought us all together closer.
but they're asking for advice, you know, and I feel like we do have some kind of know-how we can share.
As one of the things that I'm trying to do with my channel, try to share like how it's been and how there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Like just hold your breath, you know, go under, wait for the wave to go.
Right, and you know, we are foreigners living in China, and we have seen the Chinese people come together, and
It's been an incredible thing to witness.
yeah, and again, one of those things. There are many things that people that haven't been here or haven't spent as much time as we can't understand, and you know, they have biases, you know, misconceptions, and they can't understand that, and we are seeing this, and they did great, and they came together like as a mission to beat this, and I think they've done it. You know, it's not done yet, but it's something really, really nice to see, and that's what I think they are starting to understand now in the West.
Yeah.
You know, they're starting to understand it. Most people, at least, let's say.
One thing that they don't understand, and I wanted to ask you your opinion on this. What do you think about the decision to like stop the influx of foreigners? What's your point of view on
It's
that?
very fresh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We all knew it was going to happen. You know, the writing was on the wall.
I knew it had to happen.
I wrote my editorial note for the April issue today, and which you can read in April and listen because I recorded audio. And the first sentence, I think, I said that it's finally happened, and I say finally because everybody else already did it. All the other countries, you know, China. I kept saying China hasn't closed its borders, right? So yeah, it had to happen. I agree with that. Let's see for how long though, because it may affect us in the end.
That's a $60,000 question.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. What do you think about it?
We talked earlier about this in another video that Paul was shooting, and I think I welcome it. Is what had to be done. I'm afraid it was done a little bit late. And
Right.
the reason why I say that it was done a little bit late is because it gave a window of opportunity for people to discriminate against foreigners. The whole thing about, we were talking about like making t-shirts, like there are some foreigners who left the country and there are some foreigners who stayed here and fought this together with the Chinese. We were going through the same fears, the same uncertainty. Our businesses were hurting the same way, but we stayed here and we fought it together. But there is no way for a Chinese population to tell what kind of foreigner are you when they see you on the street.
Now, I'm not blaming those that left at all, you know. If they had the opportunity and they felt they need to leave, yeah. But, you know, a lot of foreigners would agree with what we're saying, but there are a lot of foreigners out there that would not. Foreigners that live in China.
Sure.
I mean.
What I'm trying to say is that if the government had done this a lot earlier, it would have been a lot easier for the Chinese community to know, okay, this guy has been here and he was here the whole time, because otherwise he wouldn't be roaming the streets.
Right. Yeah, and things happen, and people are maybe walking away from us in the street sometimes. Did you have it? Did it happen to you?
Yeah, it's happened a couple.
What do you feel when it happens?
Well, I'm a good-natured guy. I laugh it off, you know. But it's unfortunate. It happened to me at a police station. You know, the police officer looked at me, and you know, I didn't have any business there personally. I was there with a friend, but he was verbally and physically scared of me, and he just asked me to stand on the other side. And all the people around me in the line were actually very welcoming. We were chatting up, and they actually laughed. at the police officer.
At the guy, yeah.
So I just to make people comfortable, I'm fine. I'll go stand on the other side of the road. It didn't bother me, but I have been.
But if something further would happen, it may get to the point.
It might, but it hasn't. And we were talking. I think everyone's experience in China is different,
right?
And it also depends on. I think here in Guangdong is generally a foreigner-friendly area, and the people have always been welcoming and kind, and I'm still seeing that on a regular basis during this time.
I think it happened to me a couple of times, and I have to admit, I had a couple of tantrums, right? Someone wrote on Facebook like, oh, all these white people having tantrums, come on, this is what Asians go through in other countries all their life, sometimes, right? It depends on experiences. And it's true. But for me, it was like, I understand that. I agree what you said. I understand that. Fear, right? They're just afraid. And
I just did a video about fear, by the way.
Yeah. And,
plug.
And for me, it was like, oh, I feel like it's my home. It's not my home. I mean,
that's been a sentiment a lot of foreigners have been expressing lately, is that even if they've been here 10, 15 years, this is the first time they've felt like it's not their home. And that's the feeling that they've gotten when these things happen to them here.
And what I say to Chinese people is, look, it's a very small percent of people that are afraid of foreigners now because of this whole thing. It's a small percent. And, there are shitty people and good people wherever there are people in the world, right? But I do ask most of the Chinese people that are good, that are not afraid, that are, they understand the situation and they're not sort of, fear doesn't make them ignorant, that they say something to the other people. What are you doing? He's okay.
Yeah, be supportive.
Yeah.
Something interesting, I want to share this with you. I'm walking my dog in the garden, and there's a WeChat group of people in the garden, and somebody sent a picture of me in the group. I said, like, there's a foreigner with a black dog in the garden. My neighbors jumped up like, he's being here all the time. Don't worry, he's my daughter's teacher. I'm like,
exactly.
Way to go, guys.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Come to your defense. Yes, they got your back.
And if we were a problem, we would not be out. We'd be quarantined. I mean, come on. Just fear makes you stupid. Anywhere in the world. I don't know if that's what you did in your video. I'm going to watch it later.
My message was that fear is a choice. Danger is real, but fear is a product of something that doesn't presently exist or may never happen in the future.
Right.
So that was my message.
It's deep.
I want to talk about YouTube for a moment then.
Great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing YouTube?
About a little over 3 years.
Little bit 3 years. What has been your experience as a YouTuber in China? I mean, has it been positive, negative?
Oh, 100% positive. I don't think, aside from a couple of comments here that you just dismiss, for the most part, it has opened doors. It has given me opportunity to explore, to do the things that I love, and to share with the people back home what life is like, and maybe even change a few minds.
Yeah.
You two are YouTubers for a while. How long have you been doing it?
A little over 3 years.
So a bit more than you.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
About 2 years.
Right. I make contents for a long time, but not really YouTube until now. And so my daughter, a couple of years ago, and it came up like, what do you want to be? YouTuber.
Really?
Maybe 3 years ago, I think. She must have been 8. Or
wow.
Yeah. YouTuber. Okay. I was like, all right, okay. Start making some videos and show me, Since then, I learned she's a bit lazy.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's easy to say I want to be a YouTuber, right? So, yeah, like what is the most important thing to do, to remember, to keep in mind in order to keep going, to do it?
There's a lot of things. For me, I love learning. So YouTube has been an opportunity to learn a lot of stuff.
Right.
To learn about lighting, learn about sound, learn about cameras, about search engine optimization, learn about
You mean you learn because you need to know now?
Yeah.
But you also use YouTube to learn it.
Correct.
I guess.
But it's what keeps me going. I want to get better. I want to do better. I want to put out better content.
Right.
So it's what moves me
right.
More than anything.
Right.
Obviously, seeing my channel grow it's also a great thing.
Satisfaction, right?
There's a satisfaction in seeing that people listen to your message, listen to what you have to say. You reach a certain age in life where that matters.
Yes.
You have certain wisdom, expertise, and something to share. And,
Yeah.
and when people listen and they engage in debate with you, for example, I love that. I'm so freaking active in my comments.
Well, what about if you're doing it and not getting much back?
Then
Those. How do you keep going?
How do you answer that, Paul?
You got to do it for your own reasons. You know,
What's your reasons?
it's very intrinsic. It's not for money. It's not for views and clicks. It's not for exposure or fame. For me, it's a creative outlet. And my father always told me, Paul, in life, you need a creative outlet. For him, it was photography. For me, it was music. And then I kind of fell out of music and I needed something. And I always loved film. So this is my way of making little films. And just like you said, learning. I think learning a new skill, this is something nobody will ever master. So we can learn it for the rest of our lives. And every time we put out a new video, it's just a little bit better. That's the satisfaction. That's what keeps me going.
I think combine both your answers are perfect together.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I almost went to a film school. My dream was to be a director.
Mine was to be a producer. We should have done
Yeah,
something.
and I almost got in
Mine
like
was to be an actor.
a good film school, and then shit happens, life. But yeah. So, what about YouTubers from outside watching this? And what about the Chinese alternative? You're not doing it, right? I guess.
I'm not. There's
about
Chinese alternative like Bilibili.
Bilibili or Yoku, or that's already.
Well, Yoku I use only for just my company. So I put out content and that's it. But
there is Yoku, there is QQ Video, there is I guess Bilibili would be the closest one to YouTube.
Yeah.
Do you do anything on it?
No, I don't do Bilibili. I don't do QQ. Oh no, I do QQ and Yoku, but only for my company. Like just teaching tips and whatnot. Anything that's for Western audience or English speaking audience, I do it on YouTube. That's about it.
So you're not so interested, I would say, to get Chinese audience. I mean, if you were, you would be putting time in making subtitles or whatever.
It is the main challenge for me. I don't know if it is for you. A lot of people say that to grow, it's a good idea to have Chinese subtitles.
Right.
You see a lot of the big YouTubers in China put in Chinese subtitles, and somebody would say, "Oh, that's one of the reasons why they grow so fast." What do you think? Who do you follow of these Chinese YouTubers here?
I subscribe to a vast majority of them.
On YouTube?
On YouTube.
So there are Chinese YouTubers.
Oh,
there are Chinese
YouTubers?
YouTubers, and then there are Western YouTubers in China.
Western YouTubers in China.
I have a lot of people
Okay.
that I follow. I don't watch all the videos. I just don't have the time. There's so much content out there. But there are many different. Have you guys ever heard of Huell Hauser? No.
Huell Hauser?
Huell Hauser was a TV show host back in the 80s and 90s in California. And his goal was to just walk around California and see interesting things. He wasn't a YouTuber, but he's all over YouTube now.
Huh.
So for me, when
He filmed back then.
Yeah.
And
He was on public station. And if you're from California, you know who this guy is.
Okay.
He's a very unique personality. But, I thought the person my audience is my mom and pop back home. It has always been that. And it still is. When I talk to the camera, I'm usually talking to my mom and pop back home. And that's my motivation of why I do it. Now, I'm not married and I don't have children. I don't see that happening in my life. So my legacy, if you will, when I'm an old man, or if my nephews, or my great-nephews, or someone distant wants to know who I was, it's there.
It's interesting that because we talk about transcending and for me, that's teaching. I see part of myself in the children that I teach. But we were discussing
That's a great
this
thing.
earlier.
Yeah, that's a really good thing.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I never thought about that, but YouTube has that, an idea, the opportunity to show people what you're about through the years, because that's going to stay there forever.
Mm-hmm.
So your motivation is very pure.
It's intrinsic.
Yeah.
And intrinsic motivations, in motivation theory and leadership theory, intrinsic motivations are much deeper and much more powerful than extrinsic.
Right.
So.
Do you do other social media?
No. I have a Facebook page for my YouTube channel. I'm not participating in Reddit. I don't have an Instagram. So this is YouTube for me is just the outlet for me to communicate with my friends and family back home, and everyone else who watches it have been very supportive, and I love that they watch it and comment and be part of my community.
It's so different. When my daughter said she want to be a YouTuber, I don't think she was thinking what you're thinking.
What do you think she was thinking? Just famous?
Yeah, I think that's what kids today, right? That's what they see, you know, and they think, oh, I'll be famous, and they don't understand how hard it is to do that, you know.
The hours of editing,
everything.
planning.
I'm actually a little concerned about becoming too famous because I'm generally a very private guy. So these little windows into my life that the vlog is takes an awful lot of courage for me personally to put myself out there like that. It's generally very difficult, but it's a challenge, and I welcome the challenge head on, and I do it anyways.
So I'd say you're not really interested to put anything on Chinese social media since your mom and dad are not watching here.
No.
Yes,
exactly. Yeah.
But maybe later when you go back or something, one day you'll have the Chinese friends here.
Yeah, maybe. In fact, many of my viewers are local Chinese. You know,
right.
they're people who watch.
Since we're talking about that, I think you started asking before. So like in YouTube, foreigners in China, you said you don't watch so many.
Well, I subscribe to almost all of them, but
so which ones are notable ones? Maybe we can say.
Not what do you mean?
Notable. YouTubers.
Not
notable,
famous.
Notable.
Notable.
Which ones are the good ones?
The good.
I'll tell you somebody who
YouTubers.
has fantastic quality and that has been not growing. Here's what I want to say. He's putting out beautiful videos, and he doesn't get too many views. Angelo, he's in the...
Oh, yeah, he's great.
Angelo?
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, I'm talking beautiful.
What is it
Yeah,
about?
he's very talented.
What's about?
No, just travel and whatnot.
Life in China. Yeah,
Life in
he's a
China,
vlogger.
yeah.
Where's he from?
But beautiful colors,
He's American,
beautiful.
right?
He's American, yeah. And it's one of those things that I don't understand. I just don't understand.
Yeah, it's funny. Some of the YouTubers out there that don't offer that level of quality to their videos are extremely popular, and yet you got a guy like Angelo who does.
But it's
very
what
good
people
stuff.
want. It's the market, right?
That's the great thing about YouTube. It's very democratic. Yeah.
Right.
But if you want to grow and you want to succeed, I mean, remember when I wrote my article for the magazine here? I said I'm going to give myself 5 years to see where it goes, to see if it's going to lead to, well, maybe another income stream or whatever. I'm 2 years in, and I'm really, really hooked. I've got expectations for it now. I came in without many expectations, like meh. But now I'm like...
You enjoy it.
Yeah, and I enjoy carrying a message and conveying a message that I think is important out there to show people China. This is what we're trying to do here as well.
Right, exactly.
Try to show people China in a way that they've never seen, they never heard, that they've been told is different.
Right, exactly. You know, I always say it's really complicated to understand it.
You don't know it until you see it yourself, personally. You can't understand
and not even the 1 year or 2 year or 3 or 4 or 5. I mean, you just keep understanding it more and more and more.
That's why I stay, because even after 4 years, I still don't know anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's almost like in a way, our duty to try to make people understand through our eyes, through what we say. Yeah.
It's a privilege to do it.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
All right, guys. Well, that's all the time that we have today. I really want to take the time to appreciate Paul for driving all the way to Dongguan, sitting down with us. It's been a long day for you.
The only time to go
I
out
had a good
today.
time, man. He showed me around and around Dongguan. What a beautiful city this is, and I'm very, very thankful for the opportunity to come and sit with you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. So, guys, you know how to do. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell button to be notified whenever there's a new video out. Follow us in all the social media that you see down here. And, well, remember to like, comment, share this to your heart's content. And until we see you again, this is, of course,
China.
bye for now.